right, we're live. Welcome back to our daily live feed. If you'd like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you have to go. We do hair, makeup, suits, and posing, all the presentation needs that you have for stage for ladies. It was a crazy weekend. It's been a crazy week, as many of you guys know. Reviewing our shows for this weekend, which are going to be Battle of the Bodies and the Vallarta show. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. Shanika just logged on. She just had a great showing at the Battle of the Bodies as well. So congratulations to Shanika. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hello. Yeah, my weekend was kind of all over the place. And, as many of you guys know, for those of you that don't, we'll kind of start off the live feed with this, and I'll kind of leave it here. So, we were at a local show this weekend, our local Virginia Classic. It's a natural show along with the Clash of the Titans and everything. And as many of you guys know, we have a very tight-knit family here in the Northern Virginia bodybuilding community. And one of our own passed away this weekend, and so it was a very difficult show that weekend. It was full of very mixed emotions. If any of you know Sofia Graham, I've worked with her for several years now on her looks for stage and everything, and it was very shocking news that we did lose her this weekend. But if anybody would like to help out with funeral expenses or anything like that, they do have a GoFundMe page. I'll be more than happy to send the link to you if that's something you'd like to help out with. She was only 28 years old, so it was definitely unexpected. So if anybody has that in their heart where they would like to help with some of those financial burdens, just let me know and I'll shoot you over a link for the GoFundMe. And then, again, prayers, everything for her family, her boyfriend, Kelly, who is a huge part of the NPC family here in Northern Virginia as well. And he's probably taking it the hardest. So, again, prayers will be much appreciated. So, pray for her and for her family and everything every day. So, I just wanted to put that out there because they can definitely use some positive vibes. Made the show this weekend a little bit interesting. So it also brings me to the topic of you never know what some other people are going through sometimes. You know what I mean? So, those of us that were backstage working the show had this weird position to be put in where we had to be upbeat and ready to get our clients and our competitors and stuff on stage and be happy and excited for them, meanwhile grieving the loss of one of our own. So, whenever you're in any situation in life, not just a show, but any situation in life, just kind of realize that sometimes you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't understand what some people are going through. And, just be kind to people, be good human beings. Like I mentioned, just be good to people whenever you can. Understand that it doesn't cost anything to be nice. It doesn't cost anything to just lend a helping hand where you can. And also just to live your life to its absolute fullest, because you just never know. Tomorrow is not promised. So we are very lucky and we are very blessed to be able to be in this industry and do what we love. A lot of people in this world can't. A lot of people don't have that opportunity. So take everything that we do as a huge blessing, because one day you won't be able to do it anymore. So I wanted to put it out there and kind of put a positive spin as best you can onto this, and that she, passed, and I don't want to say doing what she loved, but she passed, probably if this had to happen, this was probably the best day that it could have, because we were all together and this was what she loved. Bodybuilding was what she loved. And so we could be there for Kelly, her boyfriend, and we could be there for him, and we could be there to help with this whole passing situation. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was a fun weekend. So it was very emotional. Like I said, it was a very emotional weekend for other reasons as well. So not to dwell on that any longer. Like I said, if you would like to help support in the cost of funeral expenses, things like that, please let me know. I'd be happy to send you over the GoFundMe link. It is on my Facebook page too, if you're one of my Facebook friends. So be happy to send that to you. So I know, I think about it all the time too. All the time. So anyway, let's move on. Let's be thankful for the lives that we do have and the fact that we do get to follow our passion, and we do get a chance to do the things that we love. And one of the things that we love and I love is going through and doing these wrap-ups with you guys. This is one of my highlights of my week every week. I love going through this stuff with you guys and interacting and getting questions and all those kinds of things. So that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to start out by reviewing the Battle of the Bodies results, and then we'll move into the Mexico show after that. We're going to start out with Battle of the Bodies. So this was a very big show. I'm going to touch on 7 through 1, basically, right? So the reason why I say that is because Erin Stern came in 7th. I honestly, I looked at her in this show and I was like, there's just something different, you know, from based on what I saw at Republic of Texas. Now, I went back and forth between the two show pictures, just to try to figure out what was different about it. And honestly, it's hard to compare because the pictures at this show, Battle of the Bodies, are a lot more contrasted than the ones from Republic of Texas. The one in Republic of Texas are a little bit softer. So I actually think she looks better in the pictures in the Republic of Texas, but that also could just be the lighting and the photography. She just looked a little bit softer there. Here, in this particular look, she looked a little bit harder. She looked a little bit leaner, a little bit more conditioned. She looked a little bit harsher with her hair and makeup. So all of those things, like we mentioned from last show, from Republic of Texas, those are all things that can take you from looking youthful and vibrant to looking not that way. And I felt like that's what the difference was between the last show and this show. Now, could she have done anything about that? I don't think she did anything differently as far as her look was concerned or her posing. I don't think anything was really different in that regard. Where I do think was different is I think she was a little bit leaner. I think she was a little bit leaner at this show than she was at Republic of Texas, and just that little bit of leanness made her look a little too hard. She was already just a touch too hard when she was at Republic of Texas, and I think that this extra week, this extra 2 weeks just pulled her down a little bit too much. So that's what I believe. That's why I think she went from 2nd down to 7th. 7th is still a very respectable placing, especially in a show like this, when we're getting into this heat of the season. But overall, that is the only thing I can really see that was a little bit different from the two shows. So she looks a little bit leaner at this show than she was at the last one. And again, that makes a big difference when you're standing up next to competition like this. So that's my 2 cents on that. I think she was appropriately placed. I would like to see her move back up. But I would also, again, because we're talking about the difference in the lighting between the two shows, it looks like her hair is actually very dark. I would like to see her lighten that hair up. I think if she went to more of a soft brown versus a black, I think that would really help. I think she has to be very careful about her makeup being too contrasty as well. I felt like her makeup was an all-over warm look at Republic of Texas, and we had a very contrasted makeup look here, which does make you look a little bit aged. And I think that that's where the effect was for her in this particular show. So those are the couple of things that she has controllable, and then also not getting too hard, not getting too lean. So those are the things she needs to be careful of. Okay, moving up to Carolina, who was in 6th, and Carolina actually just logged on here too. So, and as I'm talking about these ladies, feel free to ask questions. If you're on, like Carolina is right now, feel free to put in your 2 cents and everything too. I am just speculating based on what I see. I don't know these answers sometimes, so I love to hear what your thoughts and your feedback are as well. So feel free to say anything you'd like to say in regard to your performance here at this show. One thing I will say, Carolina, is I think that your pose, your back pose in this particular show was better than what you've done in the past. You've had in the past you've had a tendency to push too hard and push too much, and I don't think you did that here. I think this was a lot more relaxed, which definitely helped for you. Front pose still needs a little bit of work. We're still pulling out on that upper body a little bit too much on that, and it just makes you look a little bit unbalanced in your main front pose. The stallion pose is beautiful on you. I wouldn't change that one. I think that one's very well balanced. But then once we get into the side front pose, we see that upper body just kind of take over in comparison to the lower body. If we can pull that in just a little bit and get you balanced, I think that would be a much better look for you here. Overall, I felt like your look was very full, which was good. Needed to be full. Looking at the back pose, probably could have been a little bit tighter through the hamstrings, but not by much. You need that fullness in your glutes in order to really pop that. You're a small girl, you know what I mean? So the more fullness you can get, the better. I do think this was one of your better looks. Just overall, I think it was a very nice look, especially in the glutes. I thought the glutes were very nice. Let me look through a couple more pictures before we move on from her. Yeah, I felt like maybe a hair tighter in the back, but not, I don't know, that might have sacrificed your fullness, so that might not have been the right answer for you. Waistline is nice and tight, but not to the point where it's sucked in. That's a good thing too. A lot of girls have a tendency to suck in too much, so we see rib cage, things like that. We're not seeing that here, so that's good. Overall, very nice package, very polished package, very pretty package here. Yes, congratulations to you, Carolina. Yes, and consistently doing very well, getting up in that top call out, those top 5, top 6 placings. Couldn't ask for anything better on your rookie season, you know. So really good package here for you. Let's move on to Ivana. So this is the girl that just placed 5th in Chicago, and we mentioned in Chicago she was a little bit too lean, and I think that's still the case here. She does look a little bit fuller. She doesn't look quite as etched in her hamstrings and glutes. And again, going back to what I was saying about Erin with the 2 pictures from the 2 different shows, it could be about the lighting as well. It could be about the lighting in the pictures that we're talking about, that kind of thing. However, I'll say this, you know, in this show, Ivana doesn't look as etched in through her hamstrings and stuff as she was last show. And I know that this show has a little bit more contrasty photos, you know what I mean? So she did try to soften up, but in the process, probably needs to pop it a little bit more, needs to fill it out a little bit more. It's a really hard balance. We're gonna talk about this with a few of these ladies. It's a hard balance to be able to come in lean enough and pop it at the same time. One of those two tends to suffer sometimes, right? Yes, congratulations to all the ladies. Carolina looked amazing. She sure did. Absolutely. This hair look is a little bit messy to me in the back. It just looks like she needs to have like bigger curls. I don't have a problem with the curls. I would just like to see bigger curls. This particular one looks like they're too tight curls. We're talking about Ivana again here. Not bad, but it's still just not my favorite. It just looks a little bit messy. Let's see, front pose. Yeah, she did try to soften up from Chicago. She did try to, and I think it played well for her. I don't think she's hit her best physique yet, but I think this is a slightly better look than what she had in Chicago last week. I do think this is a slightly better look. She's just a little bit softer, a little bit fuller. But again, it's that balance, I think, in the back pose and those hamstrings and all of that. It's not bad at all. I think she just needs to pop a little bit more. I think that softness is there. She just needs to fill it out now, right? So she doesn't need to be any leaner. She doesn't need to put on any body fat either. She just needs to pop it out. That's it. So, but overall, a really nice package, really pretty package. She's got a beautiful smile, so you can't help but look at her. And I do think this was an improvement over last week. So I think she did a good job here. Let's see. Let's go to Rihanna. So Rihanna took 4th. And she wore a blue suit at this particular show. Now, I'm going to say 2 things about the suit situation. So, personally, I like the red color on her better, but I like the cut on this blue one better. I don't like the connector in the middle of her top on this blue one. I think it's a little bit distracting. I would like to see a smaller connector there like she has on her red one. However, the top itself does fit her chest a little bit better. That's one thing I've noticed with Rihanna, is that sometimes her tops don't cover her enough. And that's what I felt like with the red suit. As much as I love the color and everything on that red suit, I think the red on her is a better suit for her, like the color. I like the top cut coverage on this suit better. I do think she needs a smaller connector in the center like she has on her red suit. I do think her red suit connector is better. This one, the connector on this particular suit, I just felt like it was a little distracting to me. But overall, like the actual top coverage on this one is better. Let's see, looking at her back shot, she was just a little soft to the back. She's got a great shape. She's got an awesome shape. She just needs to get that conditioning in through those hamstrings and back. That's where she was lacking at DC Pro-Am as well. That's where we see that critique coming in. She's got to get that tighten up back in the back. From the front, she's gorgeous. From the front, it's like, yeah, it's like lights out from the front. She looks great. She could even be a little bit tighter through the waistline, like conditioning wise in this particular show. But I mean, she's got a great shape. She's got a beautiful smile. Again, beautiful look all the way around. It's just we're a little bit soft through the hamstrings, a little bit soft through the booty. She's got again, great shape. And if she could pull that hamstring tie-in in the way that it needs to come in, she would be winning these shows. She would be winning these shows. So it's just a matter of time for her figuring out that balance, her figuring out how to make that happen, right? I don't know what that answer is, but that's where she needs to focus her time. If she could pull in a little bit tighter through it, and I see it a little bit on her lower back too. Her lower back can come in a little bit, so she could probably come down another pound or two, that kind of thing, in body fat. That would probably help. But again, when we're talking like this, it's a very, very fine balance. It's very, very hard to come in lean and to keep that full roundness as well. So she's doing a good job. I just want to see that really, I want to see her dial this in right. I want to see her dial this in right, because then I think it'll be lights out and she'll win a show. Hair look, again, her hair look is a little bit messy too. Same thing that we were talking about with Ivana. Her hair look is a little bit messy. Just needs a little bit bigger curls, or needs to brush through them to make them waves or something like that. And then it would be a better look. Where was this show? This show was in Fort Lauderdale. It was probably really humid, right? That probably didn't help with the hair. If it was really humid there, ooh, humidity kills a few things. Humidity kills hair, kills tans, and it kills makeup. So you got to be really careful. If it was humid, which if it was Fort Lauderdale, it probably was, that is something that will definitely kill a look. Like that's, to me, that's what this hair looks like. It looks like it got hit with some humidity, right? Yeah, super humid. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. It looks like it probably looked really good when she got out of the makeup and hair chair. You know what I mean? It probably looked really good when she got out, and then hit the Florida humidity, and this is what happens. You know, it's just, it is what it is. I mean, I was outside last night for dinner. We sat outside, and I had curled my hair for dinner, and my hair looked like a fuzzball by the time we left. You know, I live here. We live in the land of humid, right? Yes, it was technically Coral Springs, but yes, South Florida. Okay, yeah. Regardless, it's a humid climate there. So yeah, it's that's understandable. She might have gone outside. Like if you can stay inside by as much as possible, stay inside in AC as much as possible, or else this is what happens. This kind of look is what happens, which would make sense as to why some of these hairstyles look a little bit messy, you know? Okay, let's go to Cristobalina. So Cristobalina's third place here, which is about where she's been placing. This was one up from where she was at Chicago. Let me see. Let me take a look at her posing. Her posing still needs work. Needs to relax through that upper body while she's in that front pose. She's super tight and full. Like, that fullness is very nice. That was what she was really lacking that first show that she did this year. The fullness is very nice in her front pose. She just needs to fix that front pose a little bit. She's getting there. She's that one. I keep telling you guys, every show she gets a little bit better on her posing, and I feel like she's close. She's not quite there, but she's close. She's very, very close on this. Back pose looks nice and tight and full. Back pose is a lot better. Again, we mentioned this last week that she's getting a lot better with her back pose. This back pose is a lot better on her. She's got really nice hair in this particular show. Her curls look beautiful. Her curls look nice. Did a great job with her hair here. A lot of these girls I'm noticing have more yellowish tones to their face as well. That yellowish tone, I'm just not a fan of that yellow color to their foundation. But that's pretty much, I think almost everyone that I've pulled up so far has that yellow tone. Let me see. Yeah, really, I'd like to just see her really fix that front pose. I think her back pose is very, very close. She may be able to tweak the back pose a little bit, but it's very, very close now, her back pose. Now it's just a matter of making sure that front pose really pops on her, because again, she looks a lot better at this show than she was previously in this season. So it's just a matter of really fine-tuning that front pose for her. That's about all I see on her. I'm trying to see with her back pose. She's got some nice, she could probably pop a little bit more in the glutes, but I don't know. I think she looks pretty good here. I think these glutes look pretty good. She might want to come up a little taller. She's bending a little bit in the knees. She might not want to do that. You should have your knees soft, but not really look like you're bending into it. And it looks like she's bending into it a little bit. So I'd like to see her not do that, and that would probably help with the fullness of her glutes. I think by her bending into her knees, she's actually diminishing her glutes a little bit by doing that. When you pull tight on those hamstrings like that, it pulls tight on all the muscle. So it pulls tight on the glutes and actually makes it not quite as full, not quite as round. So I think if she was to come up a little bit in those knees, I think that would really help with the pop on her glutes. I think she has it there. I think she's just not showing it quite right. She's close. She's very close, but I think she just needs to not quite sit into that back pose quite so much. But yeah, the look itself, her look itself at this show looks good. Looks good. All right, let's see. Then we got Deraja. Came in second. Let's take a look at Deraja here. Deraja looks great, but I don't think this was her best look. She's got a little bit of water on her waistline. A little bit thick through that waistline. And I say that knowing that she has a tiny waistline. Like, I'm not saying she's fat or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying she looks like she's holding a little bit of water through her waistline. And then the same thing on the back pose too. It looks like in the back she has a little bit of water on her hamstrings. You know, that could be something where, you know, we've talked about this before, maybe it's her time of the month or something like that. Or, you know, maybe she ate too many carbs or whatever, spilled over just a little bit. It's still not a bad look on her. I was on my period. There you go. Can I call it or what? I'm just saying, you guys. So that's what it looks like to me. It looks like you're on your period. It looks like you got a little bloating, a little bit of water. It is what it is. Thank you for being on here and actually saying that too. That's very helpful. Like I said, I love when you guys are on here can actually put in your 2 cents. That makes complete sense here. I said the same thing. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Again, I think your best look so far was at Republic of Texas. I think hands down, actually, of all of your looks, that was my favorite look. This one just looks a little off, just a little off. And just that extra pound or 2 of water that we tend to have during that time of the month. You know what I mean? But overall, again, beautiful look with the hair and makeup. Beautiful look with the tan, beautiful look with the posing, all of that. So it just needs to pull that water off you when your time of the month is over, which I think you're doing Tampa as well. So that'll be done. You'll be good to go for Tampa. Perfect, right? So yeah, like I said, I think your all-time best so far in my eyes was Republic of Texas. So if you can replicate that look again, I think you're good. I think you're good. Water's coming off just in time for Tampa. See, there you go. Perfect. You know, it is what it is. We have hormones, guys. This shit ain't fun sometimes. Just saying. But you just kind of work through it. You just got to work through it. You know what I mean? So look at that. You got to love you, Deraja, right there. Love it. Well, thank you. And again, thank you for saying that too, because that's helpful. You know, when girls watch this video back, they can say, oh, okay, that makes sense. And it's not just me that deals with this. She deals with it too. You know what I mean? So great. That's good. So, but overall, again, beautiful look with the hair, makeup, and suit and tan and all that stuff too. So posing, everything's on point with that. So just pull that water off for next week. Perfect. All right, let's move on to first place, which was Maureen. I personally loved Maureen's look in Chicago. I could have seen her winning that show personally, so I'm glad that she got her Olympia qualification here. I think she 100% deserved it. You don't get much better than this front pose here. She's just a beautiful girl. Again, she's got that smolder look that we talked about last week. Her glutes popped a little bit better here in this show than they did in Chicago. Chicago, she was a little bit flat on the outer part of her glute pop. Here, not at all. I did watch a little bit of a video and a little bit of live stream in between doing hair and makeup clients, and that was the first thing I noticed was the pop on her glutes, because she didn't have that in Chicago and she had it here. So whatever she did in the last week, that absolutely worked for her, 100%. Hair look from the back is gorgeous. That is beautiful. That is how curls should look. Nice and soft and pretty and flowy. And healthy and shiny, all of those kinds of things. Looks great. You can still see her delts from the outside of her hair. That's exactly how you want that hair to lay. Her face makeup is good. I could see her with a little bit more bold lip, maybe. Her face is a little bit neutral. I'm good with her eyes and everything like that, but I'd like to see a little bit more boldness on her face. And again, she's another one that has a little bit of a yellow tint to her skin, but everybody did. Everybody had a little bit yellow tint, so it doesn't hurt you if everybody looks the same, right? I looked to see if she smiled. Not much. You're right. She doesn't need to. Absolutely. No, she doesn't. She has that really sexy smolder. That's her look. That's her thing. You guys, that's what I try to tell you guys. You got to find what your personality is and exploit that. And that's what she does. She does smile, but it's a very sexy, smoldery kind of smile. It's not a big toothy grin like most girls do. And it works for her. It works really well. Wasn't a huge fan of this hair flip thing in front of her face. I liked her hair in front of her face the way she had it in Chicago better than this. I felt like this was a little overdone to me. But it's, splitting hairs, literally splitting hairs. So I would have liked to seen the hair look from the back that she has here and the hair look from the front that she had in Chicago. Again, I just felt this was a little bit overdone, a little bit too pageant-y for me. But other than that, I think everything else was on point. And again, her glutes were right where they needed to be. This is what she needed in Chicago. I'm glad she got it here at this show because I do think that absolutely helped her. And I would still like to see her in a red suit. I'd still like to see her in a red suit. So I think that would really pop off of her very well. I don't think the blue suit's bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I would like to see her in red. I think that red would be great on her, especially because she has that sexy look to her, So I'd like to see that happen. But I'm glad she got her Olympia qualification. I can see her being a real threat for that top 10, top 5 at the Olympia. So really beautiful look here. And she just needs to replicate this for the Olympia. All right. So that's Battle of the Bodies. Let's go to Vallarta. See, I said it right. I got it. So I did watch this one on live stream. It's always hard to watch on live stream, especially this one because the way that the lights were and the LED screens and stuff, everybody looked blown out on stage. So it was really hard for me to see anything like conditioning wise or anything like that. I do know that they had the stage was really uneven as far as the seams all came to the center, so girls were kind of tripping over that a little bit. I saw a few comments about that on the live stream. They were like, looks like these girls don't practice posing. No, it wasn't the girls, it was the stage. The stage was put together funny. So just understand that too. Again, like we were talking about at the very beginning of this, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I've had this happen before where the stages are incredibly uneven. One of the worst ones was I did a show in Omaha. And that stage, it wasn't just the center seam. It was all of the stage pieces that were put together were all uneven. I felt like I was going to break my neck when I was on that stage. And it showed in my presentation, showed in my face, showed everything. So it was a very, very uneven stage. And everybody on that stage, every girl on that stage tripped when they got on stage and tried to do their routine. So I do recommend that if you have the opportunity to, when you're at a show and you're going to compete, that you get on the stage and you walk the stage. Get your heels on, walk the stage. If you're one of my clients, I tell you that. Go into the show, get on the stage when you go to check-ins. Just get your shoes on and go walk the stage so you know what your pattern's going to be. You know what you have to deal with the carpeting, with the flooring, with the seams, with the tape, all of those kinds of things. So if you're ever going to a show to compete, put your heels on when you go to check-ins and go walk the stage. Okay? So let's go over this one. Let's go top 5 on this one. So we have Jody in 5th. And again, this is a hard show to actually critique the girls because the lighting is so dark on these pictures. So I'm gonna look at it as much as I can and give you as much feedback as I can on these girls as we go through these pictures. But again, it's not, I know this is not what they saw in person, because this is just really, really contrasty. So looking at Jody from the front, looks really pretty makeup look, pretty hair look. She could stand to have some more shoulders. That's where I see she could balance her frame quite a bit if she added some shoulders onto her top of her frame. That would help make her waistline look a little bit smaller. If she pulled some shoulders up on top, that would match her glutes from the front. Let's pull her around to the back here. Everybody's, and I don't think this is the case. I think this is just the lighting in the photos. Everybody's tans look splotchy, and I don't know if it was that way in person, but it's definitely that way in the pictures. For sure that way in the pictures. Like she has some massive splotches on her glutes and on her hamstrings. She needs to build some glutes from the back. From the front pose, her glutes are fine, but from the back, she needs some top pop on her glutes. Same reason pro race car drivers and those horse jockeys walk the track. It looks different under lights in the moment versus when you're calm and critically looking. Absolutely, 100%. Modeling, I always wanted time on the runway before a show. Yep, me too, 100%. Get on that, get those heels on that carpet, right? So this is another girl that, we were mentioning about this in the last show. She could have stood to brush her hair out. She has really tight ringlet curls. She just needed to brush it out, make it look a little bit more flowy here. Now, I do know that this is another show where it was muggy as hell. And I do know that affected hair, makeup, and tans. So I'm not gonna fully blame anybody for any of these things, other than I know it was super muggy, because this is something that I talked about with Jasmine, which we're gonna get to in a minute here. But it was really, really humid and yucky in this particular environment here in Mexico. So I'm sure that had something to do with why these tans look splotchy. Like she has a couple really big splotches on her glutes and her hamstrings here, which do definitely affect her lines a little bit. But overall, I would say she needs to build some glutes, some outer glutes from the back, and some shoulders from the front. That would just overall make her frame look a little bit more balanced, top to bottom. Pretty look though, pretty look in her face. I mean, her makeup looks great. Yeah, looks good. Looking at the pictures here. Again, it's really hard for me to do this show because the pictures are so contrasted with the light. And it was that way on the live feeds too, so I can't even sit here and say that I saw it live, because it was hard on the live streams too. Okay, so let's look at fourth place, which is Priscilla. Okay, so posing needs some work. Pretty look as far as the suit and everything, and tan. Her tan looks nice and brown. Very muscular and tight and full, which is good. Those are all good things. Front pose needs some work. Her hands up a little bit too high on her waistline, needs to come down a little bit. Let's see, clicking through these photos here. Her hair looks very clean, which is good. She has straight hair, which probably was a good idea for this particular show. That straight hair was probably a really good idea for all that humidity. Let's look at her back pose here. She needs some glutes. She's very soft, like not soft, but washed out through the hamstrings. And it looks like to me like she's bending over in her back pose, which would definitely pull those hamstrings too tight. And wash the glutes out, wash the hamstrings out, wash the pop in the glutes. So she needs to stand up in her back pose. And most of the critiques that I have for her right now, looking at her photos, have to do with her posing. I think she has a better physique than what she's actually showing. Because when she stands up and she starts walking, you can see she's got some roundness to her glutes. She does need to still build them. She does need some more size overall in her glutes to balance her. She's got a good sized upper body, so she needs some lower body to match that. But she's definitely more round through her glutes while she's walking versus when she's posed. So that's why I say I know a lot of this is her posing. A lot of this is her posing. I do think she needs to grow some glutes, but I think a lot of this is her posing. If she can get some posing going, some posing help going, I think that would really display her physique a lot better. Yeah, just overall, every time I'm looking at any one of these pictures, she just needs some posing help. She needs some posing help. If she can get some posing help, she'll be good to go. And then grow a little bit more glutes. Look at, yeah, because from the front her glutes look great, but she just needs some more from the back. All right, so yeah, posing right there, posing. That's my critique for Priscilla right here. She needs some posing work, because I think her physique looks great. I think her physique looks really good. She just needs some help with how to display it properly. And let's go to Jasmine. So Jasmine ended up in third, and all of you guys know this was a very challenging week for Miss Jasmine, but she pushed through and she made it into the show and looked phenomenal. She was a lot fuller at this show than she has been at the last two. A lot fuller, which she needed. She needed to pop that physique. She was looking very depleted in the previous shows. This popped her a lot. She showed the muscle that she actually has, which looks phenomenal on her, and I think she's just going to get better from here. Now, with that said, she does need to get leaner. She wasn't quite lean enough, so it's hard to be tight enough when you're trying to pop the muscle, but you're not quite lean enough in order to do that. So it's a tough balance right there. She's another one who had tan issues. Yeah, we fixed it as best we could, but it's still a little bit too light. She needed to be a little bit darker, and a little bit more. She's a little bit ashy, so needed a little bit more warmth to it. That would have really helped with this look. That would have made her look a little bit tighter if she was a little bit darker. But presentation was phenomenal, posing was phenomenal. And again, just getting that pop back to her muscle was really important. Her glutes popped so much better at this show than they have in the previous shows so far this season. That was one thing I really noticed. She just had some nice roundness to her shape again, which was fantastic. So now it's just about pulling pulling on the body fat just a couple more percentages, pulling it down a couple more pounds, and then popping everything again, and then she'll be right on. I love this look on her. I love the hair. This was something we talked about previously. This was a look she wanted to put on stage and decided to do it for this show. And she got phenomenal feedback from it. Everybody loved it. So gonna keep tweaking this look a little bit as her body gets leaner. But this was definitely an improvement. And I'm looking forward to seeing what she does next, because it'll just get better from here. So really happy with this third place placing. This is where I believe she deserved to be placed. I think this was a good placing for her. And again, going back to the concept of if her tan was a little bit darker, I do think she would have looked a little bit tighter, but I don't think that would have helped her jump over Ellie. So Ellie was second. And to me, I thought Ellie had the best back shot. I thought her glutes were the best on the stage. When I saw her walk on stage, I was like, oh shit, she looks good. I was like, oh, she looks good. She looks good. Front pose looked good. She just needs to relax her arm a little bit. She was just a little bit pulled out too much in that front pose. And she doesn't even look that way when she's posing by herself. It's just when she's posing next to others that you see that. So she was just a little bit yanked out in that. And it's really noticeable when she's standing next to Francesca, who won this show, because Francesca's just standing there really natural, really, really natural. And we're going to get into Francesca in a second. But that's where I think that difference came into play, because when you turn Ellie to the back, her glutes looked great. I think, let me look at her back pose here. I really think this was one of her best back shots that she's had all year so far. Legs looked good, glutes popped. One of the things that we've been critical of with her in the past shows this year is her legs were a little bit too thin. I didn't see that here. I saw a nice pop in her glutes, all of that. So I think where the deciding factor was from the front. And we're going to go into Francesca Stocchio next, who did win this show. And specifically when you watch them in comparisons, I think Francesca won it actually from the front. Francesca was very hard, but that's normal for her. She's normally very lean. She's normally very hard. But when you look at her from the front, she was just very relaxed in her front pose. When you look at her waistline and her V into her V taper into her shoulders is ridiculous. Like that's not something you build. That's something you're born with, you know? And she just stood there nice and relaxed. And that really played well for her. That kept her looking very confident. She's one, I think her tan could have been darker. I do think her tan could have been darker. I say that with all these girls, but again, I'm saying this based on pictures and videos that are very contrasty, so I could be wrong on this, you know, but that's what I'm seeing. I think her tan could have been a little bit darker. When we turn her to the back, let me pull up her back shots. See, from the back, I mean, she's nice and tight and conditioned, and she's balanced from back to front. I don't think she had the best back shot. I think that Ellie did. I think Ellie had the best back shot, but I think that Francesca was best balanced from top to bottom, front to back, if that makes sense. Her conditioning matched everywhere she was. So that's what I saw with her. I think that Francesca won it from the front. I think Ellie won it from the back. Personally, that's what I think from what I saw. I'm looking at, and her back pose is just funny too with her arm placement. She's got to fix that arm placement. I'm not sure what she's doing there. I think that's from her front pose, but she's got one elbow out, one elbow down, one arm down. So I thought that was just a transition pose, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, that was actually her back pose. So she's just got to fix that. And I think that comes from how she was posing in her front pose. But I do think between the two of these girls, I think between Francesca and Ellie, it was very tight. Because, again, just me looking at it, I have Ellie winning from the back, and I have Francesca from the front. So those are our shows. Those are our shows for this weekend. That's everything. So any questions, you guys? This is another long live feed. Whenever we have 2 shows to review, these things get very long. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. That's all I got for tonight. That's it. You're welcome. You're welcome. So with that, I'm going to let you guys have a great rest of your evening. I'm going to let you go. Thank you, my press-on nails. Everybody always compliments my nails all the time. I'm like, yeah, they were $5. Thank you. Ever since COVID, right? Yeah, so if you guys are going to be at Tampa, I will be there this weekend. So I'd be happy to say hello. And we do have photo shoots going on and stuff like that for our girls and everything too. So it'll be a fun weekend. I'm looking forward to it. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your night. And as always, if you'd like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you have to go. We'll be right back here for our next BSPN, which will be previewing this weekend's shows, which are Pacific USA's and Tampa Pro. Woo, big weekend.